You didn't get a Belgian Malinois because you wanted an easy dog. You got one because you wanted the dog. The elite. The loyal protector. The working genius with eyes that seem to see right through you. But somewhere between the dream and the reality, things got harder than you expected. They're too smart. Too fast. Too intense. And you start to wonder, am I doing this right? Because here's the truth no one tells you. Training a Malinois is not just about getting them to sit, stay, or heel. It's about building a relationship that balances control with confidence. Structure with spirit. And if you lean too hard in either direction, things break. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. You can feel it. That spark in their eyes starts to dim. The joy they once had in working with you becomes hesitation. And when that happens, you don't just lose obedience. You lose connection. Have you ever seen a Belgian Malinois perform flawlessly in a working demo? Every move precise. Every command followed. But look closely, really closely. Do they still love it? Or are they just surviving it? Because there's a difference. And if you're here, watching this, I know you care about that difference. You want a dog that doesn't just obey, but thrives in the process. So how do you do that? How do you train one of the world's most powerful, driven, high-performance dogs without crushing what makes them extraordinary? It starts with understanding who they are. A Belgian Malinois is not just another breed. They were bred for non-stop engagement. For decisions. For intensity. And when you bring that kind of drive into a household, into a world without a job, they improvise. They find purpose in everything. Herding kids. Chasing shadows. Guarding hallways. And if you don't give them direction with clarity, they fill in the blanks themselves. That's not disobedience. That's desperation. Most training failures with Malinois don't come from lack of effort. They come from the wrong kind of pressure. Too much control. And not enough connection. Because these dogs aren't built to submit blindly. They're built to work with you. As a partner. As a teammate. And that's the mindset shift you need to make. Have you ever asked yourself, is my dog obeying me because they trust me? Or because they're afraid of making a mistake? That single question changes everything. Because when fear enters the training space, the spirit starts to fracture. Maybe you've seen it, a hesitation in their step. A glance away. That beautiful, bold personality slowly shutting down. Not because they're tired. But because they're confused. Or scared. Or overcorrected. And it doesn't take much. One harsh reaction. One poorly timed correction. One training session pushed 10 minutes too long. And the bond starts to wear thin. So here's what works. And this comes from years of experience, not just with my own dog, but with countless owners who hit the same wall. Train short. Train clear. Train with joy. Yes, you need structure. Yes, you need rules. But you also need a rhythm, a pattern that makes your dog feel safe, seen, and respected. That means consistent cues. Immediate feedback. And play built into the process. Because for a Malinois, play isn't a break. It's the bridge between training and bonding. Here's an example. You ask your dog to heel. They do it perfectly. Instead of just marking it and moving on, you toss a ball, offer a tug, engage their drive. Suddenly, they associate listening with reward, not just through food or praise, but through purpose. Because what motivates a Malinois isn't always snacks or clicks, it's doing something that matters. That's why correction should never be about fear. It should be about clarity. A no should mean, that wasn't it, try again. Not, you failed. Big difference. One kills curiosity. The other guides it. If you've been struggling with training and wondering why your dog seems distant, ask yourself if you've been working with them, or working on them. Because the best handlers I've ever met don't bark commands. They communicate. Their dogs don't perform out of pressure. They perform out of belief. And if you want that kind of relationship, it requires more than reps and drills. It requires presence. Eye contact. Patience. Intentional touch. Calm breathing. Dogs feel all of it. Especially dogs like this. And no, it's not too late. Even if you've made mistakes. Even if you've pushed too hard. Even if your dog has already started pulling away. The spirit of a Malinois is incredibly resilient. If you show them you're willing to rebuild trust, they'll meet you halfway. So what can you do right now? Here's a 3-step reset. First, drop the pressure. For one full day, don't ask for anything except engagement. Take them out, walk with them, play with them, talk to them, but no drills, no commands. Just reconnect. Second, reintroduce structure with soft edges. Simple routines. Clear patterns. But always followed by reward and rest. Third, reflect on your own energy. Because your dog is mirroring you more than you realize. If you're frustrated, distracted, tense, they feel it. Training is less about technique and more about who you become in the process. So let me leave you with this. You don't need to break your dog to build obedience. You need to build respect. Through consistency, clarity, and compassion. If you've ever felt like your dog isn't responding, not because they're defiant, but because they're disconnected, this is your wake-up call. They're not trying to ignore you. They're trying to protect their spirit. It's up to you to show them they can trust your leadership without losing their fire. So if you're ready to train your Belgian Malinois the right way, the way that keeps their heart intact and their eyes lit up, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below that says, "We train with heart." Because the world doesn't need more obedient dogs. It needs more understood ones.